Hey everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. This tutorial is going to be using Pixlr, and I'm going to be continuing my photo editing series. So there are a whole bunch of images that I've seen on the web of people taking photos of coffee mugs and tea mugs, and then inside the mugs putting environments. And so it makes for a very classical, surreal kind of composition. So I thought I'd try that out inside Pixlr and see how difficult that was. So I've already downloaded a handful of images. I'm going to come over here to Pixlr E and click on Open Image. And I'm going to go open up my image of the coffee mug. I'm going to come over here to Layers, click on the menu, and I'm going to choose Duplicate. And then I'm going to hide the original layer by clicking on the little checkbox here. And that way I'm working off of the copy, not the original. Okay, next I'm going to go to the Layers menu, click on Plus. I'm going to add an image layer, and this is going to be of my mountains. So I want these mountains to actually be inside the coffee mug. So I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to resize the photo. And now I want to be able to see the coffee mug, so I'm going to go over here to the mountains layer, click on the menu, and I'm going to lower the transparency a little bit so that way I can see the coffee mug background behind there. Okay, so now I can position the mountains the way that I want them to be inside the coffee mug. Looks good. And now with the mountain layer selected, I'm going to come over here, click on the Cutout and Mask tool. It's the one that looks like scissors. And you have a whole bunch of different options here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this fourth option here, which is the Lasso and Mask. And this is where now I can go ahead and grab my pen and stylus, although you could also use your mouse if that's what you have, or trackpad. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Lasso tool, and I'm just going to basically draw shapes around all of the sky and everything else that I basically want to get rid of. And notice that I do make a closed shape. When I let go, you'll see that it kind of does a cookie cutter and cuts it out. So I'm going to go ahead and go through here. And there we go. Okay, so obviously I'm not done yet, but I want to go ahead and get the bottom here. So I'll, again, go around here, get as much as I can. I would say on your first time doing this, get as close to the edge as you possibly can with your device. Now, to do cleanup on edges like this, what I usually do is I switch from the Lasso tool. I then switch to the brush tool, which is right next to it. And with the brush tool, then you can click on the brush picker here. You can change the size, get in much smaller to be able to do some detailed stuff. Come on out here, and you should be able to brush. Anything that is brushing in red is going to be going away, and anything that is brushing in green will come back. So for instance, I can come up here and change the mode, and I can say, oh, I meant to keep that in there. And you'll see that I can bring it back in. So you really can't make a mistake here. I mean, at least not permanently. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just go around, and I'm going to get much closer to the edge here. I think I'm going to go ahead and change my brush to one of these hard edge brushes here, so I get a nice crisp edge. And then that way I can get, whoops, change my mode. That way I can get nice and close to the mountain edge, and I can do kind of a nice, clean, crisp edge. And there we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause my recording here, and then I'll come back when I'm done with this step. Okay, so I'm on the last little bit here, so I'm just zooming in and going right up close to the edge here. And just getting rid of it there. Now, if I realize I want to bring something back, remember, it's really easy. So for instance, this left-hand side, I come up here, I change the mode, which is going to add back in, and then I can brush back in, and you'll see that it adds it back in, so we can create that illusion. So you can be pretty precise. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change the transparency back up to 100%. There we go. And you can see that the mountains look like they're almost washed out a little bit. They don't have as much contrast as the rest. It almost looks like whipped cream or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the contrast. So the way you do that is you're going to click on the layer, and you're going to go up here to the adjustment menu, brightness and contrast, move it over, and I'm going to increase the contrast. And you should see that the darks become a little darker. I'll maybe play with the brightness a little bit, maybe, there we go, and I'll increase the contrast a little bit more. You don't want to go too crazy. Something like that, maybe. If you ever want to see what it looked like before, you can always click in the bottom left-hand corner and click and hold, and that's what it was before, and here's what it is now with all the changes that I'm making. So again, I'm going to increase the contrast all the way up to 100. Maybe something like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and come over to the layers, click on Add, do another image layer, and this time I'm going to bring in some clouds. And I'm going to basically rinse and repeat. I'm going to go ahead and position the clouds somewhere where I want. I kind of want this cluster here in the middle. So I'm going to make the image a little bit larger. Again, come back to the Cutout tool. I'm going to start off with the Lasso Mask, as that one is a really good one for just carving out big chunks here. Just get rid of most of it. And there we are. Okay, so now to deal with this, I could go in with the brush tool. I'm going to try the magic mask tool, and that's where. And the reason why is because when you click on a solid color, it will then go ahead and get rid of it, as you can see there. And because this was mostly against a blue sky, I can go ahead and just click on the solid blue, and it does a pretty good job of getting rid of it. Now for the rest, I'll go in with the brush tool, and I'll go ahead and maybe I'll increase my brush size a little bit. Go. And I'll just go in and get rid of little bits and pieces that I don't really need too much. Now for these middle areas here, I usually like to go in with a soft brush. And then that way I can go in and make my brush a little bit bigger. Maybe increase the softness a little bit. And then that way it's kind of a more, it's a softer transition, softer edge. I can just go in and I can also change the opacity a little bit. So maybe instead of 100%, I'll lower that. And that helps with getting rid of some of this, this fringe. I can just go in, I'm just doing some dotting here, just dot, 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 and just go over the edge. Again, if you don't want a really harsh approach, just go and lower the opacity. And you can go in. It does take a little bit of time, but it's super easy. It's a lot easier if you have a stylus, but if you need to click with the mouse, it's not too bad at all. And you can just go in and just get rid of all that blue or whatever your background is. There you go. And again, remember, if you don't overdo it too much, you can just change your mode up here, and then you can go ahead and bring it back in. All right. Okay. And again, I can click on the, oops, you'll see I missed a little bit there. No big deal. Just bring it back in. I'm going to use the Lasso tool. Whoops, wrong mode. Okay, there we go. So bring back the tool here. And the cool thing you can do with the Arrange tool is you can click right here where you can choose Flip Horizontal, so you can get that. And you can also flip them upside down if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and scale them down a little bit so they're a little bit greater scale there. And then I think I'll come over here to add in some more clouds. I'll duplicate the layer, drag the copy off, I'll flip it so that way I have a slight bit of difference. And then I'll come back with the Cutout tool, go to the Brush tool, and I'll go in here. Oops, I keep getting on the wrong mode here. I'll go back in here and I'll just get rid of a couple of these clouds that I don't need. So I'm just going to kind of be a little more choosy about that. There we go. So something like that. Okay. I'll arrange this now. Have it be a little smaller. Something like that. Now again, I might be covering up my mountains too much, so you want to just be mindful of that. I can also drag the clouds to go behind the mountains, so that might be a good call here. Okay, good. And my final element that I'm going to bring in is going to be a group of birds. And there we are there. Okay, now on this one, since the birds have just kind of a white sky background, when I go to the Cutout tool, I'm going to try the AI Auto. If it works, great, then it should do a nice job with this. And again, this is the free version, so I have to wait about 10 seconds. I'll come right back and show you what I got. Okay, so the moment of truth, I'm going to click on Continue. And you can see, let's see, it got some of the birds. Yeah, it actually got all 4 of them. So it did a nice job. I will tell you that if it pops up and it says there was an error message, usually just try it again, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, so there is, those are my birds. Again, I might want to make them a little smaller just so that they're in scale with the scene. And then I can kind of place them maybe up here so you can see them against the clouds. Okay, so that's going to be it. I might want to change the mountains. The mountains look really blue. So I'm going to go ahead and select the mountain layer. I'm going to go here up to adjustment. And I could try desaturate, which makes them now black and white. Maybe I want to go ahead and go here to adjustment. And instead of desaturating them, I want to go here to hue and saturation. I just want to drag the saturation to the left a little bit. So that way they still have a little bit of color, but they're not quite as blue. So I think that's looking a little bit better to me now. Okay, so little adjustments there. Let me check my other layers. Okay, so I still have a little bit of cleanups to do. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I just went in and just did a little bit more cleanup. It's really simple. You just go to each layer. If you have a little bit of scraps left over, you just go to each layer and click on the little checkbox here to turn the layer on and off, on and off, on and off. And you just see what appears and what disappears, and that lets you know, yes, this is the layer I have to do the cleanup on, and then you just go back to your Cutout tool and erase or paint over and it erases. I think the final thing I'm going to do is on the mountains. I'm still not happy with them. They don't quite match the contrast in the rest of the photograph. So I'm going to select my mountain layer as a final step, go up here to adjustment, brightness and contrast one more time, and I'm just going to do a second round of contrast. There we go, something like that, and hit apply. And I think that works out pretty good. Okay, I hope this tutorial helps you out. It's a lot of fun to get together a whole bunch of photos and mess around with scale, mess around with reality, and just make little universes inside other places. So I hope this tutorial helps you out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.